Welcome to a Return to Oneness. My name is Eddie, and I help people open their hearts. This video is part of the series, The System Exposed, and is titled, The Either or Construct. Please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. And please, share this video and message with your friends. Together, we can change the world, one mind at a time. Now, if you are ready to learn about the system's construct, then follow the White Rabbit. This video series is not about which side is right and which side is wrong. None of that matters. What really matters is that we come to realize that we live in a system designed to keep us in a state of conflict with each other. It's a system designed but for one purpose: to keep the masses distracted so that we won't awaken to the truth. That we are far more powerful than we have been told. For we have the power to shape the world so that everyone is respected, prospers, and flourishes. However, this is not the case for the world in which we live. Instead, we live in a world where we are taught to blindly follow the rules that are made for and by the elites. Always remember, their rules are meant to preserve the status quo, where the rich get richer while the poor become poorer. The system is founded upon a series of ideas where everything is seen in terms of being right or wrong, good or bad. These ideas are but programs running within our subconscious mind. And these programs, known as beliefs, are used by the system to control and manipulate us. They are designed to divide us and keep us in conflict with one another, so that we remain oblivious as to what is occurring in the background, just beneath all of the noise. First, we must recognize the programming construct and how it functions if we ever hope to dismantle it. But examining the right, wrong, good, bad programming does not mean that committing offenses against another person is acceptable. Far from it. Rather, once you understand the system's purpose, the idea of attack for gain is seen for what it really is: just another mechanism to keep us mentally and emotionally distracted and in fear, as well as in conflict with each other. Second, the conflict created keeps us playing the elite's offense-defense game. For the system and the elites which control it live under the constant threat that we will discover what it and they are really up to. And they cannot afford for us to discover the truth. They know that the world they have created for themselves will come crashing down the moment enough of us have awakened to their game. Like all systems, the system we experience every moment of our lives is based on a construct, which is nothing more than a concept implementation mechanism designed and created within the limitations of a given program language. What is the language of the system we seem to inhabit? It is that of fear, and fear is but an acronym for false evidence appearing real. In other words, the construct and its parameters are determined by nothing but lies. As such, the entire system can be likened to a house of cards, for the entire thing is built upon lies. Now, the time has come to expose those lies. In the first installment of the movie franchise, The Matrix, there was a scene where Morpheus addresses this with Neo. It occurs during their first conversation. During this encounter, Morpheus offers Neo 2 pills, one red and one blue. As he holds the pills out, Morpheus says to Neo, "If you take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. If you take the red pill, You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Neo chooses the red one. After he swallows the pill, Neo is moved to a chair so that his vital signs can be monitored as the formula contained within the red pill begins to disrupt his neural output. However, just prior to the neural disruption that would begin to occur, Morpheus looks at Neo and says, "Have you ever had a dream, Neo? One that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?" Immediately following Morpheus's question, Neo's neural output becomes affected. Neo looks at the mirror that is in front of him, and the mirror appears to be warping. Neo says to Morpheus, "This can't be." But Morpheus cuts him off before he can finish his statement and asks, "Be what? Be real?" The system we live within is built upon one lie stacked upon another. As such, do we really know what is real? Or do we think we know what is real because we believe it to be real? Until we ask these questions and discover for ourselves what is real, then we can but continue to be willing participants in the elite's game. Yet, we must first examine the subconscious programming before we can even begin asking the relevant questions we need to ask ourselves. Although the programs uploaded to our subconscious minds are termed beliefs, they serve the same function as any software package or app you upload on your electronic devices. And just like any computer program, beliefs generate a reaction once an experience has triggered one or more of the beliefs held within our subconscious minds. However, where the language of modern computing systems uses binary code, zeros and ones, for instructions, the construct for the world system uses the same type of binary coding application. But rather than a 0 or 1, it uses something termed the either-or code. Furthermore, it is helpful to recognize that the either-or syntax used to design a reaction to any given experience is analogous to the if this, then that comparative framework. But how does it work? And how does the subconscious programming affect us and the world we experience? In order for this to make sense, all we need to do is look at the current events playing out before our eyes in this country. Municipalities, states, regions, and the individuals who live in them are politically defined or referred to as either red or blue. Depending on how a person defines his or herself, then that makes the other side not just different, but wrong. The either-or narrative is then exploited by each side in order to drive a deepening wedge between us. All you need to do is watch 5 minutes of news to watch this play out before your own eyes. Furthermore, the wedge between the two sides is further widened by the use of social issues like race, religion, ethnicity, gender, economic inequality, environmental concerns, and many others, which are meant to keep us in a kind of cold war with each other. However, the war is beginning to heat up. And this is occurring because we have lost the ability to reason and effectively communicate with each other. Why is this? Here is where the if this then that framework comes into play. If each side began to reasonably discuss the issues, then solutions could be found. And this scares the elites because if the two sides actually came together, they believe they would lose some of their own power. Did you hear what I just said? For what you heard was framed in the if this, then that programming syntax. Recognize that we have been taught to think and act on everything from the either-or framework. In other words, we compare one thing against another. Furthermore, comparative thinking always leads to the conclusion where one thing will be declared good or right, while the other one will be declared bad or wrong. And this doesn't just apply to things, it applies to people as well. The questions that we need to ask ourselves are, when did we allow ourselves to become so divided that we can't even see the things we have in common? When did being red or blue determine if a person is seen as more American than someone who believes differently than he or she does? These are the types of questions the system doesn't want us to ask ourselves. Why? Because the system is quite literally dependent upon us being at conflict with each other. For the more we are in conflict, the more powerful the elites become. They prosper when we are in decline. For example, when the world's economy tanked, creating what has been coined the Great Depression, dictatorships began arising in Europe. Ultimately, this led to World War II. While millions of men fought each other on the battlefield, the elites, those who controlled the military-industrial complex, profited regardless of the side their nation was on. They made billions of dollars. Again, the elites do better as the amount and intensity of conflict increases. Think of it this way. As conflict increases, the elite's wealth increases. Now ask yourself this question. Does your financial bottom line increase as the level of conflict rises? For 99% of the population, the answer is no. The system was not designed that way. Rather, to the contrary, it was designed to benefit only a few at the expense of the many. And all of this is accomplished by keeping the many at odds with each other. For if we continue to fight with one another, then we won't see how we are allowing ourselves to be manipulated and controlled. Did you hear the if this then that statement I just made? For it is the foundational language that supports the system. And the foundational language of the system rests upon keeping us in fear. Now the time has come for us to learn exactly how destructive comparative thinking really is. For by the very nature of comparative thinking, not only is fear born, but old fears are strengthened. Either or thinking creates the us versus them mentality, which we see playing out in our lives on a daily basis. It promotes opposition to even those things that we, as a nation, as a people, once agreed upon. As such, opposition always creates conflict by those who believe they are right, which by default means that everyone who doesn't believe as they do must be wrong. And with this, a battlefield is drawn. And where there is a battlefield, there is a war. This is always the inevitable conclusion to partisanship and alliances created by the either-or construct. But who pays the price for this destructive behavior? The answer should be obvious. We do. We pay the price. You might be wondering, what price is he talking about? Well, here is the answer. Don't we pay various taxes, like the tax added to the price of each gallon of gasoline purchased in order to support and maintain our highway infrastructure? Of course we do. Yet, as of this moment, more than 47,000 bridges are labeled as needing urgent repair in this nation. This means that every day More than 178 million Americans drive across structurally deficient bridges. You may even be one of them. Why aren't we repairing them? Because we're too busy as a population arguing about useless and worthless things to ask those in power to do anything to pass an infrastructure bill. Thus, who is paying the price for the never-ending conflict? We are. This is but one example of the insanity perpetrated by the system. Yet we continue along in oblivion, compliments of the system, unaware of what is going on right in front of us. The time to awaken is here. It's time for us to awaken and clear the fog from our minds. For none of this need be. But we cannot change what's broken until we each address the beliefs harbored within our minds that create the conflict associated with the either-or construct. Please consider subscribing to this channel and sharing its content. Once subscribed, you will be notified when the next video is posted. In it, we will dive deeper into the either-or construct and how it controls what we think and believe, which ultimately creates the experiences we have on both a personal and societal level. Thank you for watching and listening to this video. Together, we can awaken from the system and create a world where everyone benefits. Always remember this as well. You are loved, and you are that love.